Hello and welcome to SkyPics. So I'm guessing that you're all here because of the title of this channel. So let me start by giving you a bit of an overview of my Skylark automatic antenna tracker setup. So it's based on a tripod mounting with an LCD screen just off to the right here. This is the main control unit here, where I have a 12 volt supply, a 5 volt supply, power supply for the diversity receiver up here, also controls the LCD screen, and finally the main on-off for the tracker unit itself. My particular setup has a power on-off switch for the video receiver, a power on-off switch for the antenna tracker itself, a voltage readout for the entire setup. Down here I have a 12 volt supply output and a 5 volt supply output. So just in case, for example, my transmitter would go flat during the flight, I've got two different forms of power outlet here with custom made leads that I can plug into my transmitter and have a redundancy or a backup power supply. This particular setup here uses the 12 volt function here to provide power to a Wi-Fi unit, which then rebroadcasts over a Wi-Fi network whatever telemetry and imagery I'm receiving through the antenna tracker itself, that can be viewed on any smart device, any Bluetooth enabled smart device or Wi-Fi enabled smart device with a particular app. So as well as having multiple AV out ports on my tracker unit itself for goggles or DVR units, whatever, I also have an additional LCD screen as a backup should my goggle batteries go flat or whatever. At least I've got another form of being able to read whatever telemetry I'm receiving from the aircraft. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, my automatic antenna tracker is tripod mounted on a custom built 3D printed housing, which is tripod compatible but also compatible with the lower part of the automatic antenna tracker and the actual power module itself. I've made the additional feature of a bubble spirit level on the side just so that I can set it perfectly upright in the field, ready so that it can pan and tilt correctly on a level plane. This is my 5.8 GHz diversity receiver. What I won't do in this video is go into detail how that's wired up, as there are one or two other videos on my channel already that sort of go into quite a significant amount of detail about that. So if you need to sort of research that or figure out how I've done that, then please go check out my other videos and leave a comment or subscribe if you like what you see. So up until this point, if you want to be able to get your antenna tracker to be able to effectively track your aircraft, what you have to be able to do is the GPS wiring that goes between your GPS and the actual flight controller itself, whichever flight controller or whichever GPS you're using, it doesn't matter. If you want any details of that, again, refer to early videos on my channel. What you have to be able to do is use the automatic antenna tracker convert module to intersect the TX and RX wires of the data line between your GPS and your flight controller. And what this does is it takes that GPS data and then encodes it onto the audio channel, pumps it out through this wire and down the audio channel of your video transmitter, where then the receiver on your automatic antenna tracker on the ground takes that data, decodes it, understands it, and then points the antenna tracker in the right direction. So my goal of this project is to completely remove the concept of having a automatic antenna tracker convert module on board your aircraft, taking advantage of the two-way telemetry between your TBS Crossfire diversity receiver that takes your telemetry data directly from your flight controller and returns it back to your Radio Master or a Taranis or a Horus or any Bluetooth enabled transmitter. The idea behind this being that any data transmitted back to your handset unit can then be Bluetoothed out locally to the automatic antenna tracker itself, which is currently enabled with Bluetooth but only in a read-only format, so it only gives out to a primitive app position data, longitude, latitude, distance from home, that sort of thing. Well, what we're going to be able to do is have full access to the Crossfire telemetry data instead of having to use the audio channel on the 5.8 or the 2.4 GHz video transmitter. So in summary, by doing this, it actually gives us a number of benefits. For example, a greater link quality over a greater distance, better data resolution. We'll be able to use old equipment again. I'm sure plenty of people have got these old units stuffed away in wardrobes and things that can't really sell them on because they're not really useful anymore. But being able to repurpose them like this will give them life again. I also believe that the Skylark unit itself is much stronger than other brands. For example, the way that it's laid out, the way that it adapts to tripod fittings, the way that it's got twin servos. It's got a great big metal bracket that carries the actual antenna itself. I think it's a really sort of hardy unit. And finally, it also gives us something to do during lockdown. And lastly, if you do want to see how this project progresses, then give us a thumbs up, a like, leave a comment below, whatever. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time, but we will get there. And as soon as I have an update, I'll release another video. And as soon as I get something that's flight worthy, we'll start seeing some actual flight videos and some flight footage. Thanks for watching.